Thank you for tuning in to this meeting of the Downtown Development Authority. This meeting will start at 8 a.m. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in to this meeting of the Downtown Development Authority. This meeting will start at 8 a.m. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in to this meeting of... Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon.
To order this Downtown Development Authority Board member meeting, Wednesday, February 8th, 2023, 8 a.m. First thing is to introduce a new member, Al Vanderberg. He's decided to sleep in.
I say, so where is Al?
I think he thought the meeting was 8:30. So, no, he has a speaking engagement. He'll be here about 8:30, so.
It was unanimously approved. His appointment.
Very good. So next, we have the approval for the December 14th, 2022 minutes. It was in your packet. Any questions or corrections or comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion. Thank you. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that carries. Now we have the financials. I'm the de facto treasurer today. So these were also in your packet. There's not really anything dramatic to announce, which is good news. Anyone have any questions on the financials for December? Excuse me, January. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve Statement D, which are all of the expenditures. Thank you, Member Dunn. Second, thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, we have the audit presentation. We have Marie from Plant Moran. Welcome. Morning.
I'm a principal and I serve on the engagement for the audit. I'm here today to present the audited financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2022. So I believe within the packet that you received, there is 2 deliverables that come out of the audit. The first is the financial report that includes the financial statements for the year ended as well as our audit opinion. And there's also an end of audit letter that's addressed to the board members. The purpose today is not to really rehash the financial results. As you know, you're already receiving January 2023 financial results, so these are historical results, but really just to, at a high level, discuss the results of the audit. First, on the financial report, which is the first deliverable, really management is responsible for the numbers in the financial statement, and the auditor's responsibility is the audit opinion. So we're giving an opinion on whether that those financial statements are fairly presented, and there's reasonable assurance that there's no material misstatements in those numbers. So I'm happy to report we were able to present an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. It's the highest form of assurance that we can provide as auditors. So that's a very good result for the DDA. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the actual numbers if there are any, but I'm going to cover the other deliverable, which is the letter that's addressed to the board members, which is really providing a summary of how the audit went and the audit results. So in that letter, it discusses our responsibility. As I mentioned, that's to provide the opinion on the financial statements. We also look at internal controls. If we identify any deficiencies in internal controls, we would have to report those to you. I'm happy to report that there are none that are in the letter, so there were no internal control deficiencies that we identified as part of the audit. The letter also indicates that there was no significant estimates used in developing the numbers in the financial report, and we did not encounter any difficulties in completing the audit. We didn't have any disagreements with management. We didn't find any transactions that were recorded in an inappropriate year or anything of that nature. Also, one of the key items I'll note in there's a section that discusses any misstatements. There was no audit adjustments that we needed to post as part of the audit process. So what I would take away from that is that the financial information you're getting on a monthly basis can be relied upon, right? When we get to the audit and we don't have to make any adjustments to that, that is a very positive result. Other than that, I'd just like to thank, the staff at the city, especially Tricia Chapman, who assists in the completion of the audit. It's obviously a big, addition to their day-to-day responsibilities and a lot of work, so we do appreciate that. And with that, a great result, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Happy to hear that everything's clean, unmodified. These are fairly simple financial statements, so.
Yeah, when you look at the financials year over year, I mean, the
Right.
highlights were really property taxes, as far as revenue, were up a little over $1 million. Expenditures were down a little over $1 million, and then there's just that unusual item with the investment earnings. It's just because it's at a point in time, really, and June 30th, the fair value of investments were down a lot, but you're earning interest on those investments, and as long as you continue to hold them, you're going to keep earning interest, and that number is really just an accounting item and not an actual loss on the investments. So.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just a comment.
Yes.
A compliment to the organization. I believe this period covered a time of transition in lead talents in this space. And when you have those transitions and then have a clean audit, it's a strong signal of great process that folks are following. So big kudos to the team involved in this.
Yeah, good point.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. I just wanted to echo thanks to Marie and Playground and also Tricia at the city who does a lot of the lifting on this. So thanks all.
We appreciate the opportunity to serve you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we would need a motion to accept the audit.
So moved. Support.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is our favorite topic, parking. YMCA parking agreement.
Well, then
Lots of people's favorite topic.
This should be
See
well.
my inbox.
So, good morning, everyone. This item is a request to extend the DDA's agreement with the YMCA for the leasing of spaces over at Area 8. As the memo indicated, we've had this arrangement since 2005. Provides 125 spaces for the YMCA and for the use for visitors at the David D. Hunting facility. So we extended it back in 2019 for 3 years. That expired in December. What's included in this is a continuation of that, so another 3-year extension. No terms will change. The rate is set based on the other surrounding lots and will automatically increase based on the city's decision to increase other rates in the area. And then the other, I think, important point to note, given some of the discussions around development over there, is that it does include a clause that either party could terminate with a 60-day notice. So other than that, there are no changes proposed to the arrangement, and we'd be seeking your approval to extend it.
All right. Any questions or comments on this? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Thank you. Our second most topic that we love, Lion Square.
Yay.
Mr. Kelly? Oh, Mark?
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller?
I say yeah because it's going to be good news, right?
It is.
No pressure.
Yeah, good morning. It is good news because we're really getting close. So I think there's going to be a point in time where we actually see something built. I think that the memo gives us a good idea of the time frame that we've been dealing with the project. Way back in October of 2020, you initiated the funding for this phase. So that's obviously been a while, and we've had a lot happen since that time. In June of 2021, we came back to you and asked for some additional funding to deal with some water main issues that we had discovered and some Eagle permit work because we couldn't use the previous permit. And at that time, we were pretty optimistic. That's been 18 plus months ago. And we have now gone through that process. And on January 12th of this year, we finally got that Eagle permit. So that that ushers in our next step. So immediately our team got together and we started to strategize on how we're going to get this thing built. And I think that some of the things that came up because of that 18-month hiatus is that, first of all, the water main funding that we had authorized was actually used for the Eagle permitting because we were really dead set on getting the Eagle permit worked through and didn't want impediments to that. So we just kept going with that, kept moving forward with it. I think that the other thing that happened, not only because of the delay that we were dealing with the permitting process, but also just because of the economics of the world, lots of things changed, you know, in terms of procurement of materials and cost of materials. And so one of the things that we have discovered as our consultant has gone through this project is that there are some things that are either no longer available or may not be readily available in the timeframes that we need them, or may cost too much. So we are going through with our consultant looking at most of the materials on the project and finding potential alternatives to those. One in particular was the canopy design on the overhang, or the overhang on the river. That's just not available anymore. So we have to find a substitute for that. So that's what that means, is that we're dealing with quite a bit of extra work that has to be done as we go through this process to get to a point where we're ready to bid the project. So the memo outlines some of that work. The proposal from Progressive AE gets into a little bit more detail about some of that work, but really the other piece of this is that there are obviously some comments from Eagle that we have to address, and they really focus on that overlook on the river and the part that's hanging over the river. So we have to make a lot of adjustments to that. That has ramifications for everything around it, the landscaping, the lighting, the guardrail that's along the river. So we have to go back through and sort of redesign some of that stuff. So there's some redesign. There's the review of the specified materials. That would be some more work. There's going back to the water main design because we allocated that money for the Eagle permit. And then there's some City of Grand Rapids review and permit process, basically resulting in, again, the delay that we had. They changed some of their standards, so we have to accommodate some of those changes in this work. So as you can see within both the memo and the Progressive AE proposal, they had a proposal fee of $64,400. After we talked with them a little bit about both the City of Grand Rapids review and reimbursable expenses, we came to a number of $75,900, not to exceed. And we recommend, DGRI recommends that we add a contingency of about $9,100 to even that out at $85,000 for additional services. And that is a not to exceed number. That would bring our overall total for professional services for this project to $432,270. And as the memo states, we anticipate that most of this work will be done in late February and that we'll be commencing the bidding process in March. So that puts us on track to construct or to break ground in spring, like April or so, we hope.
So this will take us through construction.
Yes, bidding. We will be obviously back to you guys after that because we'll have real numbers about what this is actually going to cost. Construction administration would be a service that's added after the bidding process. So that's not included in this fee.
I think it would be, I'm assuming that once this is finalized, you'll bring the design back to the board just
Yes.
so we can
Yes.
review it with everyone?
Yeah, as part
Yes.
of the construction.
Yes.
Fund
Okay.
optimization.
And I would assume that would come before CAA as well.
Yes.
Mark, can you elaborate a little bit on the changes of the city standards that are requiring additional work?
Well, as you can read in the memo from Progressive,
Yeah.
they talk about some concerns with that. My understanding after talking to them is that there have been some changes to the CAD standards for check prints. And those standards have to be updated on our drawings or on our consultant's drawings to accommodate those new standards. And they changed sometime within the 18-month period that we were waiting.
So this is an internal change at the city
Yes.
that's requiring,
Yes.
I don't remember that coming before the commission.
From what we can gather with a lot of this stuff is that those standards change periodically. It's not unusual for that to happen, but it is frustrating when you have a project that it catches in a period of time like this.
And it's not grandfathered in at the original design?
No. And we have had that we have ongoing issues in a couple other projects with that as well,
That's in the planning?
including the wayfinding project.
That's planning and building department?
It's engineering. It's
Engineering.
housed in engineering, yes. So it's the check print process.
Okay.
And it's, in a joking way, it's like arrowheads and, symbols on a plan and changes to those. CAD standards.
I know what CAD standards. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
Any other questions? Well, I, for one, am happy to accept a motion to approve this expenditure to finalize Lion Square. Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Oh, one last question.
Yeah.
ETA, what'd you say for the design to be finished?
Progressive anticipates that it's probably the end of February. We had
End of
heard
February.
February 23rd, but
Okay.
I think it's probably closer to the end of the month.
Okay,
And
that's
then
not bad.
moving on to bidding puts us, I think they're talking about a 4-week process to bid. It may be a little bit longer than that, but I think we're looking at March and April for that, early
Okay.
April probably. And once we can get all of that taken care of, then we just go through the procedures of getting those approvals and moving forward with it. So I think
Okay.
we still anticipate building this thing this calendar year, or at least starting the construction of this calendar year.
And timeline for construction, is it 9 months?
I think that they were originally thinking 9 to 10 months. I think that one of the things that is interesting about that process is when we originally thought about building this in 2020, the convention center was essentially not operational, which would have been ideal because we wouldn't have to deal with their events and their logistics of their events. But because they're going to be operational, we have to work with them to make sure that we're not impeding their event process when they're setting up events. A lot of their events do get staged into their loading docks on that side. So I think with both our conversations with the convention center, with Amway, and I think it's just a matter of like working through some of the phasing documents of how we go through the process with Rockford on
And
that.
our other friendly neighbor,
Yes.
WinQuest.
Yes, yes, yes. So there's some moving parts there that I think will impact the smoothness of, or the timeline of the actual construction.
Yeah, it'll be a little complicated,
Okay.
but,
But amazing when it's done.
yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Worth the headache.
it will be.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Excuse me. Now we have the Heartside Mural Program update.
Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
So I have my partner here in crime, Jen Schaub with Dwelling Place, to give you kind of a run through of last year's Heartside historic mural program that we've done. That was our second year doing the program that you all funded, and we just kind of want to give a recap of what happened. It's been a really successful program for local artists and just history in our downtown, continuing to move GR forward through messaging of people that have helped shape Grand Rapids. In particular, last year we highlighted a lot of people, so Jen's here to talk a little bit about that, and hopefully continue this program and come back to you for a financial ask to start year 3 come this spring. So with that, I'll pass the torch. Awesome.
Morning, everybody. It's nice to see y'all today. I am going to talk mostly about these 4 large murals, but we did kind of diversify this year, and we got some additional funding from DGRI for these mini murals. So I'm going to share a little bit about that as well, because they kind of fit into our whole summer mural season. We did a lot under the Heartside Historic Mural auspice this year. So The 4 large murals are going to kind of feel similar to what you've seen from us in the past. But just a reminder about our process. So we actually choose our mural artists with a committee. So we had 21 committee members. About a third of those are residents from the neighborhood, a third of them are local artists, and then another third are individuals who are passionate about art and maybe serve a dual purpose. So Kim was on that committee, and another committee member who has also been a part of the DGRI committees over time and the activation for Goal 5. The Goal 5 was also on that committee as well. And so they help lead the process at the beginning. So starting midwinter, we get that committee together and they do things like review our RFP that we put out to the community. They help to steer how much we're actually going to spend. Like we do the ask to y'all, but they help us steer like how much are artists going to get paid. With cost of living going up last year, we really cut a lot of additional costs out of our budget so that we could pay our artists a little bit more this last year and be more competitive with that. And this year we had 13 artists who were involved in this process, along with a number of, 42 residents from the neighborhood who participated in the mini mural event. And then 12 people who went out on the walking tours. And the walking tours, I will say, are a place where I was a little bit sad this year not to see more people participating in that when we just had those walking tours. But the thing that's really lovely about that is that it gives Carolyn the time to do the research, and then she weaves it into other tours. So there have been several times where I'm looking out the front window of my office, which happens to be right next to some of these murals, and there's a large group of people standing by my front door because Carolyn has brought a tour by because she's already done that research. So I think there's a ripple effect to that that's really positive, but that was something that we didn't have as great of success with this last year. So just a little bit of an introduction to some of our team. Maddie is our mural coordinator. So Maddie's over here on the far side in the hat. Maddie is also a mural artist that's extraordinarily helpful because honestly, I do a lot of sitting behind a desk and sending out the emails, and Maddie's out there on the lift helping the artists alongside them, making sure that everybody's safe and that everybody is well cared for. This is some of our internship team crew and one of our artists, Kevin, and this is from our mini mural event this summer. We added t-shirts so that the artists are highly recognizable when they're out in the community doing the work. And we had apprentices this year, so this was a great outcome from our steering committee. They made the suggestion that we try and engage more young artists who are college age or maybe not in college but are self-taught, are interested in painting murals in the future, but maybe haven't had that experience yet to work alongside our artists. So our apprentices not only were on site working alongside our artists, but they also created their own mid-size murals, and those mid-size murals are being installed in garden spaces in low-income apartment buildings across the Hartside neighborhood. And so they went in a more whimsical direction with their artists' murals. They visited the gardens. Many of these are going to be installed in exterior garden spaces. They talked with some of the residents, and then they created murals based off of some of those conversations. And so these are being installed into the buildings that each of those young apprentices were kind of connected to. And then also they were able to work alongside a working artist, helping them install their large-scale mural, and also then working on their own piece. So they kind of had a dual purpose, and they spent one full weekend with us that kicked off the mural painting season, and then they spent about another week coming in and painting their own murals and spending whatever time that they wanted to spend on those. And the paint for these was all donated, which was a really great kind of aspect of this as well. So these are our 4 large-scale murals. So this is George Eberhardt. You may recognize George. He is a well-known artist around town. He collaborated with Donnie, another mural painter, this year. And they had really a remarkable kind of season. We originally had planned for this to be on another building, and the building owner pulled out sort of at the last minute. So we moved the mural to a new site that actually is a split level. So what they had originally designed was just this top mural here. And it features 3 Black Grand Rapids baseball players who really started in the early days of baseball leagues in the city of Grand Rapids. Little known piece of historical information about the Heartside neighborhood. We had a baseball field, Island Baseball, or Island Park, which was right over kind of where the city site is along Market there, right? So the off-ramp and Charlie's Crab in this area. It was also where the first big market was in the neighborhood. And the Black Sox played at that field. And so they were talking to George Bayard, the artists were. They got really inspired by the story. And then they started doing some research. We went to the archives. This is a big part of the project, that we do the historical research to learn more about the people, so that we're not just making something that is less grounded in the history. So we did some great research, found some historical images, and they chose Erline Mathis. She played for the Brown Dolls, but Erline is also the family member of one of their friends. And so there was this kind of great story here where all three of these top baseball players also were league owners later in their lives. So they started as players and then became league owners. As they were painting the top part of the mural, we actually, because they had moved from another location, sorry screen, we didn't have the bottom component planned, but they had so many people come by, stop by, chat with them, and say, you've missed someone very important. In fact, one of the baseball players that they added was the father of one of our residents, who was also a player. So people stopping by and saying, you should add this person, this is why. So we had a little bit of extra money in our budget at the end, and so we were able to grant them an additional sum of money, and at a little bit of a discount because we were running out of money and they were running out of time. They painted the bottom piece as well. So it's kind of a beautiful addition, and those are the three additional baseball players that they added. So this is located at 106 South Division, and this is Elia Weber's design, so mural number 2. Elia was really struck by stories of people who have served as advocates for community within the Heartside neighborhood. And so she painted 3 different individuals. So we've got Alfonso Carr, who is the gentleman right here. We have Margaret Sellers-Walker here. And then we have Tommy Wallace. And Tommy Wallace is painted in full color because Tommy is a resident, alive and well in the Heartside neighborhood. He served on the Dwelling Place Board for about 15 years. And Tommy is also a mural painter. So Tommy would come by. He's recovering from a surgery. He'd come by every day and hang out for a little while as Elia was working on the mural, and just kind of like hang out and chat. He's very proud to have been honored in this way. We have several pieces created by Tommy in the neighborhood. We don't have any large-scale murals from him right now. The 2 that we had that were exterior to buildings have unfortunately buildings have been erected on their site or have been painted over, but we have several murals interior to our buildings that Tommy has created. And so she really wanted to honor the ways in which people collaborate together to create a voice for their communities and the different ways in which they serve. So 2 of the individuals pictured here have served on community committees, and Alfonso was really an outspoken advocate. He was a veteran, and he had spent some time being displaced and homeless, and so he really was keen on making sure that people were aware of the experience of people living in the Heartside neighborhood, was an outspoken advocate. All right. And Elia, so lovely. She had a whole family crew that would come with her, and she also really brought some additional artists forward into the process to have them participate in learning more about some of the opportunities to get more involved and get funded for arts projects in the future. Very bright and colorful. This is Jamari Taylor. So Jamari created a mural that honored 2 sisters. So Hattie and Ethel Beverly. And Ethel Beverly Burgess was well known for her impact later in life, but Hattie is probably more locally well known because she was the first Black school teacher in the city of Grand Rapids. But the thing that's really interesting about her sister, less well known historically, but had a significant impact. And one of the things that Jamari was really struck by is that both taught in the public schools, Both had kind of this lasting legacy of community commitment and volunteerism. But Ethel had a commitment also to some of the Victory Gardens, which are a big thing in the Hartside neighborhood, and was a speaker at many of the women's clubs in the city. And so she started to really fill out her mural with some interesting design elements to create some symbolic representation of their commitment to their community, which is the peony and the tea leaves in the conversation, and then the Victory Garden piece, which is really the vegetables that you see on the far end there. You'll notice that almost all of the murals this year really have a strong emphasis on individuals. Our committee chose mural artists who are very strong figurative painters, and so that came out in the selections and the work that was created. Okay, Kevin really went for it. So let me just say, Kevin, I'm gonna have to read from my sheet so I can make sure I get these all right. So Kevin, we connected Kevin with the Women's History Council, and they were like, hey, here's a list of artists, of women that we would love to see honored. And Kevin was like, I got this. So he put them all in a mural. And so I'm gonna read from my list so I make sure I get this all right. So we've got Mary Roberts Tate, who worked to get the vote approved for women. And also Clara Comstock Russell, who was a voting rights activist. We've got author Constance Rourke, so I'm going this way, by the way. So Constance is right there in the middle. We've got YWCA president and civil rights activist Helen Clater, who many of you may recognize. She's right here. Of course, the Y is located right over on Sheldon. And then we had education reformer Phyllis Scott and indigenous activist Jeanette St. Clair, who also did some work in the education field in the city and area of Kent County. And so I will say that this mural is really beautiful, gorgeous in person. It's very vibrant. And when we have taken the tours out, this is the mural where we see the most people kind of stopping and looking and hanging out. So those are the murals that were created this year. Again, a lot of focus on individuals. Next year, we'll be going a little bit more for stories about some of the history. We're gonna need to install some signage so that you're not just like, oh, there's a picture of some big heads. So we're working on that this year. But I really think that the artists, all of our artists are local. That's a big focus, again, for our committee. We had a conversation about last year, you may remember we had a regional artist from Detroit and another from Lansing. This year, they really wanted to focus on all artists from Grand Rapids. We had some big walls, and so they want artists to really kind of have the opportunity to go large and have that experience. Something that's really important for me is the artist feedback and the community feedback, right? So community feedback tends to take a little bit more time to get around to. And the reason for that is because when we put a mural up right at the beginning, it doesn't have the same impact as it may have a year or two into the future as it starts to become a placemaking feature within the neighborhood. And so we often talk to the residents in the Hartside neighborhood about their experience of having such beautiful public art. But the immediate feedback we can collect is from the artists. What was their experience of this? This is very important to us because we really recognize that they are going to be the advocates who go out and talk about what this was like in the future and send other artists our way. They tend to give positive referral. And last year, we actually had 2 of the artists who were on painted last year's murals serve on our committee this year to help shape the process. So it's really important to us that they have a good connection, that they feel connected. So we have dinner with them. We brought them together and sat down with the DGRI team to talk about other funding opportunities, and all of them came to the table and were available for that conversation. And so 83% of our artists reported feeling closer to their community, and 100% said that they'd be likely to participate again, that they met new people, and they reported being comfortable in the community and had fun and learned skills. And I will say that comfortable in the community thing is important for me because I think that this is an opportunity to be an ambassador to the entirety of the city of Grand Rapids when you have artists from all over the city coming, working, and creating artwork in the neighborhood. If they have a great experience, they go back and tell their friends and neighbors, so it makes a big difference. Just a little bit about the mini murals painting event. So we held this in front of, Kevin had just started his mural, so you can see that over here in the background. But we set up tables, we had live drumming with residents and neighbors. We had the majority of our participants in this event were actually residents from Weston Apartments, which is a low-income apartment building that Kevin's mural actually is on. We had a great turnout from residents that day. Again, we had about 42 residents come out, and they created mini murals. Here's a great picture of Farah after she created her piece. They created murals, and then you might recognize these because they get installed onto the trash cans along the South Division corridor. This is something kind of unique to the South Division corridor. It allows our residents to really see their work as they're out and about. And we'll say we had a couple of weeks lag time from when the murals were finished to when we were able to get them to the ambassadors to get installed. And I had residents stopping by my office and saying, "Where's my mural? When's my mural gonna go up? Where's my piece of artwork? I wanna see it. Where did they put it?" And I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta get on this. So the residents really do appreciate and look for their work. And then we do a small stipend for each of them for participating as well. We wanna honor their work and commitment as artists alongside the mural artists and our apprentices. So kind of a great way to bring other residents in, and then we tell them about the mural project while they're painting and have a community conversation about what's happening with those, and they kind of get to hear more about it. So it's one of the best outreach tools we have to really talk to our residents directly about what's happening and get them like fully engaged in that process. And then, of course, the historic mural tours, I have to say that first one was really rainy. We had about 24 people signed up for it. We had about 6 people show up because it was not the best day. But of course, Carolyn does a great job doing tours and she incorporated some of the previous murals into the tour as well. So as we were walking around the neighborhood, we're really thinking about what the pedestrian experience is like. And it's really fun as we're out walking around, checking out the murals. Other people who are out taking photos just kind of join us and become a part of the tour for a couple minutes as well. And so kind of a great outcome. So that's our Heartside Historic Murals for 2022. A couple of things that you'll see from us in the future. We're going to be making some adjustments to our process. This year we're going to work with our committee to select, hopefully, if y'all fund it, I have to say, we'll select the themes ahead of time and then select artists, and we're interested in melding together the figurative and more narrative pieces that we saw the year before that tell kind of a more complete story. And so that's kind of one of the focuses. We have a couple of sites that we're working with right now. These ended up kind of being centralized in a couple of 2 blocks. We had plans for them to be spread out more through the neighborhood, but we did have one of the sites back out. So we'll be working to solidify that earlier in the process and make sure that we have contracts with our sites before we move fully forward into the process. So that's kind of what you can expect for us. You'll see a formal proposal sometime in the next 2 months.
So we're not running out of canvases?
We are not running out of canvases yet. One of the interesting things about murals in the neighborhood is that we do try and replace them every 5 to 7 years instead of doing maintenance and upkeep. It does allow for a greater diversity of different themes, ideas, people to come forward. I think that that's a really great thing about public art for murals specifically. Sculpture, a little bit harder to switch out a large scale sculpture, right? Like, can we imagine replacing the Calder? Probably not so much. But when we talk about murals, it actually is better to, I think, to renew them unless we have one that's really, really significant. In that case, we have kept murals we have one mural that we've had up for 12 years. And the reason we haven't replaced that one yet is because it's real near the electrical lines, but I'm trying to figure out how to work around that. I did that one when I was very young in this position. I was like, sure, go ahead, just paint that shit, it's cool. And now I know better. So that is one that we're working on figuring out how to tackle and keep everyone safe.
Did you get that on?
Safety is a big thing for me, yeah.
You did record that.
Officially recorded, right? Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm blushing now. Great. Okay.
Well, good.
Yeah. Some of the mural design history from last year we'll be updating when our mural coordinator comes online for this year. They will update for last year's historic stories, and so you can go on our website, and that's what the QR code will take people to. So
question, maybe Carolyn's done this in the past, but is there any organized tours during our prize that people can sign up for?
So Carolyn does tours all year long, and she just incorporates these into the tours that she finds it to be appropriate for. So she does, she's done a Black History tour and incorporated some of these murals. She's done an art tour and incorporated several of them. She does a women's history tour and has included several of them. So one of the murals from last year, you might remember, is included in the Women's Way project now, and so we're really excited about getting the signage up for that this year. And so while she doesn't do one that's exclusively these, she does weave them into other tours. And it is really great to see her walk down. I mean, I've been in the neighborhood for a very long time. It's not often that you see a group of individuals walking down South Division like tourists, like, oh yeah. And as that becomes more and more the norm, I really appreciate seeing that kind of just change in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, the mural, Margaret Sellers Walker has special meaning to me. She was a mentor and a dear friend. She passed away several years ago down south in one of the Carolinas. She really is. I was very surprised, but heartened that her image was up there. The other one is Helen Flager, and she is nationally known and has deep roots here, and so it was fabulous. And Jeanette St. Clair, you know, all of a sudden, I haven't heard that name in probably 25 years, and I just applaud you.
Yeah. I will say it's a blessing for me to learn about people. Sometimes it's people that I know, but you'd be surprised at how many people say, oh, I know that person. You know, we've had that experience over and over and over again where we are talking about or showcasing, or people walk by and they say, is that? Oh my gosh. And especially for our residents, like sometimes we find, oh, this person was my cousin or my aunt or I knew this person from church. And so it's just a really cool way for people to connect into the neighborhood and have a sense of place. I really love the outcomes of this project, and I'm really proud of the work. So thank you for recognizing that.
I think the signage with the little storyboard on each person would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we have those designed for last year's, and we just need the staff person to be able to get them printed and get them up. Frankly, been a little short-staffed. I don't know if you know, it's hard to hire right now. And so we are working on trying to take care of some of those back projects, and so that will happen. And the information's on the website, so the QR code will directly connect to that. And the thing that I love about the website, because I'm a total geek, is that you can see some of the historic images that we pulled from the library archive along with the narrative. So you can see that person, see we're going to have a picture of Island baseball field, Island Park, and have that kind of reference for people so that it weaves the narrative together for people who get up close to it. And we are looking for next year at some really cool apps where you put your phone up to the mural, and because it's geocoded and you're using the app, it will make a VR experience where the information will pop up and you'll be able to click on it on your phone. And so that will be part of our future proposal, where instead of just using the QR code, you'll be able to download the app and then go to each mural. And then as you pull it up, there will be like a clickable feature where you can scroll through those images and still be like looking at the mural, or it will highlight like, here's this person, and then you can go to their Wikipedia page and things like that. So we're exploring that right now, and that will be part of our process. If we're able to get that approved, it'll probably be an additional funding request from y'all. And then if we do it, we'll go back and do it for all of the murals in the neighborhood. So.
And hopefully you're gonna be able to extend for all of our murals.
Yeah.
Downtown. Like, this isn't just a one-side thing. I think it's a two-parter that's beneficial for everything that we fund here. So
there are 2 or 3 different apps that create that possibility right now. One of them does a cool thing where you hold up the phone and then it creates an animation and runs the animation over it. The other one is just a VR experience where you put it up and then it links out and has some other photo kind of tags. And so we're trying to get a couple of other individuals who help to create murals in the downtown area together, downtown and the more expanded downtown, so that we can all agree on one app and not just do it only for our group, and that way it's kind of more widely used.
That's great.
Any other questions?
just a comment. Baseball one is interesting to me because I was just in a barber shop 2 weeks ago. My kid's talking to someone about baseball, and it turns out that he's from Grand Rapids. I think he went to Central, got a scholarship, and went to the pros. And then he just started dropping these names of like a good 7 to 10 black baseball players that played professional baseball. And then another, like, I don't know how many that was in the Negro League. So it's just like, that history that a lot of folks don't know. Sitting there again, like 2 weeks ago, hearing some of this stuff. Ted Raspberry was up there in Raspberry Field, all these different things, and I'm just like blown away because a lot of kids are like, oh, I can NBA or NFL, but it's like, wait, there's baseball and obviously other sports. So that was really nice to see. And then, I think, in our city, and I'm sure it happens in other cities, is you hear the same last names so many times on so many of the buildings or the roads or just foundations, but then to have someone that that maybe they used to live in your house, they live around the corner, or their granddaughter, name is being mentioned, not only name, but there's a face to go with the name, and so I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, we learned a lot about kind of the power of naming people and then representing them visually last year. And I think that that's something that the committee was really excited about this year. But I think we want to balance that with the visuals and having people really recognized for the impact that they've had on the city, and also telling the complete story. So we're going to be just kind of working to weave those pieces together this year. I love seeing people see the murals and have an emotional reaction to it. It's really, really lovely. Yeah.
Well, good. Good work.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Always love chatting with you.
We'll edit that one piece.
It just displays your past.
Really hard to follow up on that. That was a really
All right,
amazing
welcome.
presentation.
Is there a spot for Al?
Okay, let's
Sorry.
see.
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, do I not have
For
slides?
Al? Yeah.
What's that? Ah, there it is.
All right, next is the
Gotcha.
Downtown Ambassador Annual Report.
Is there slides or no?
Is there what?
Oh, there should have been slides. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just go off of my notes then. Lots and lots of pictures on those slides, so I apologize that I don't have that on there. But so I'd just like to talk a little bit about what we've done over the past year. Yes, so we got new uniforms. We've got this bright orange shirt. It's very recognizable and noticeable. Hopefully that leads people to come up to us, engage with us a little bit more than they have in the past with the teal shirts, because we are pretty bright these days. Last year we pressure washed 87 blocks. We did a higher focus on the underpasses. Those tend to get a little bit dirtier, especially with the pigeons that kind of stay up there. So we focused a little bit more on the underpasses, Bridge Street sidewalk, Granville, Pearl Street. That was kind of more of our focus this past year. For infrastructure, we were changing trash cans, repairing trash cans, deploying trash cans. I'm sorry, I don't have, the numbers were all on the slides, I apologize. So last year we had 18,715 infrastructure management. So again, that's changing trash cans, repairing them. What's that? Oh, you got it on there. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So I always like to start off by showing how much fun my team has, because it is a really tough, can be really gross job, honestly. But we do have a lot of fun, so I do like to highlight that with my pictures. So. Boom. Okay, there we go. Awesome. So yeah, for last year we had 434,000 pounds of trash that we disposed of. and that was about 17,000 trash bags that we threw away. So I'd like to highlight that. McCandy, who is our contractor for our flowers, they planted 45,938 plants, flowers, and then over the winter time, they had 10,340 branches, boughs, and pine cones. I just think that's a really interesting number to talk about. They're still out right now, so spring planting should be happening within the next couple months. We also watered 10,960 planters and pots out there. We had a higher number this year than last year because we actually were staffed, which is really wonderful. We were fully staffed by the end of the year. We also removed 190,000 weeds in our downtown, so sidewalks, beds, everything, all that included. We also had some new equipment last year. We added a couple of small pressure washers that are handheld. You can actually drop that into a bucket or attach it to a gallon jug or something like that. This allows us to be a little bit more flexible whenever we have some stains out there that we need to take care of. That would go into our Mega Brutes, the rolling trash cans that we actually push around. So we can put those in there, as well as our vacuum blower. So that's the thing that's on the top left there. That is also something that we can put in the Mega Brutes and deploy pretty easily. It is a vacuum on one side, and then we switch it up, and it's a blower, so we could blow leaves into a pile and then suck it up with the vacuum. So that's really handy new equipment that we put in last year, so looking forward to using it again. And then, of course, we have our snow blowers, billy goats, weed whackers. So in total, we spent about 331 hours utilizing these pieces of equipment. Let's see. For the Loo, I love talking about the Loo. My goal for the Loo is to feel comfortable bringing my children down to utilize it, and I think that I always do. I utilize it whenever I'm downtown with my kids all the time, and I feel good about it. So we cleaned it over 1,000 times last year. The goal is to clean it at least 5 times a day. Sometimes things get in the way of that, but that is our goal, and then, of course, we respond whenever we get calls and take care of it as well. So I love talking about that Loo. We cleaned up 3,900 instances of biohazards. Biohazards are human biohazards. Sometimes they can be small animals. And then, of course, needles, because safety is super important to me out there. We clean up needles everywhere. And dog poo as well. Snow removal. We removed snow from 16,000 pieces of infrastructure. So that is the crosswalks where people cross, meters, fire hydrants, bus stops, bike racks. Mobility is super important to me, so we make sure that our crosswalks are wide enough for people that utilize wheelchairs and just have low mobility. We also cleared the sidewalk around the dog parks that we take care of, which we introduced the West Side Dog Park last year as well. So that picture in the bottom middle is our John Deere Gator with our giant plow just clearing that snow. It was a lot. Let's see. Last year, we also welcomed 4 Grow Kids back. So those are the 14 to 21 age range that come and just learn how to clean in our downtown. One of them actually said he didn't know how to sweep, so he learned a lot this past year. One of the, I was like, how do you not know how to sweep? What? One of them actually returned for her 3rd year, so that's really exciting. Hopefully this year she said that she would like to work with us because she'll be of age to join our team, which would be really great. But she was able to return for the 3rd year, and she actually helped us by teaching these younger youth about what we do and kind of guiding them. So that was a really awesome experience for us and for her. She's on the bottom left there sitting at the table. Her name is Cammie, so hopefully we'll see her back again this year. We also collaborated with the Public Museum High School to clean South Division. We hit it twice last year, and this year we've already done it twice in the first quarter. So we have another day that we're planning out, and hopefully we will continue to do that again. So, excuse me. We assisted DGRI, of course, with several events, including World of Winter and the first annual Return to the River, which was a blast. And I like to let my ambassadors participate in activities because, you know, what's the point of being there if you can't have a little bit of fun? So that's one of my ambassadors on the bottom right there, getting her arms dipped, which was really cool. We also provided over 1,700 mobility assistance. So what we consider mobility assistance is jumps for vehicles. We can change your tires. We've helped push people out of the snow or shovel snow out of their tire wheels to get them out safely. We also walk people to their destinations. We provide umbrella escorts if it's raining. So that's what we consider our mobility escorts. We also conducted 9,813 business contacts, which is 4 more than we did in 2021. Again, we were better staffed than we were in the previous year, but also we kind of did a little bit more of a push to let businesses know, we are here for you, this is how we can help you, but it's also a really important information gathering tool for our ambassadors. Their job is to promote downtown. So when we have visitors, we want to make sure we know where to send them when they want a burger or where they can get an extension cord or, whatever it might be. So last year we opened 1,800 maintenance requests and closed 1,600 of them, which I think is a really big number. When we open maintenance requests, they're for things that we need to take care of downtown ourselves, so pressure washing or repairs to our own infrastructure, but we also send maintenance requests to the city, to MDOT, the Rapid, all sorts of other entities for things that we cannot take care of ourselves. So closing out 1,600 of them, I think, is a big win. A lot of the ones that were not closed out were, of course, for other entities, so something that we cannot handle ourselves. We also removed 3,400 graffitis last year, so that's marker, paint, and flyers. So I think that's a pretty great number. We also deployed 55 of our newer trash cans, which meant that we were replacing all the ones on Monroe Center with our newest style, and we were able to take those extra trash cans and put them in other places. So we're not only replacing these trash cans with our new style, we are enhancing the downtown by adding 55 more trash cans elsewhere. This year, one of our big focuses so far has been putting trash cans at every bus stop within the DID. Because those are places that I think are needed. So we've started on that process, and we're pretty close to finishing that. So. Let's see, resident engagement ambassador. That is a new position that we created this year as a trial. Hopefully that is something that we can continue on. Their focus is to engage with residents in our downtown, kind of listen to them, hear them out. What are your concerns? What do you love about living downtown? And I am here for you. So we welcomed Jamie for this role, and Tevin, who is an existing ambassador who has worked as a cleaner, hospitality, leadership. He has now moved into this role as well. So we have someone experienced and someone new to the team. Jamie, some of you may know her. She used to work at Hartside as the GED. She created the GED program there. So having somebody that is really knowledgeable about our downtown, the services that are offered, some of our unhoused. I think that's really beneficial for the role of the resident engagement, maybe helping to bridge that gap. Let's see. We're statistics that we are reporting, brand new statistic that was residents engaged. We had 64 of those near the end of the year. Again, we're just discussing what are some of your concerns, what do you like, is there anything we can pass along to DGRI, and just, again, I am here for you. Last year, our hospitality engagements included 59,873 instances of just communicating with people, holding doors for them, taking pictures for them, giving their dogs treats, getting to know them. So that's just our general engagement. We also provided 79,000 pieces of information. Here's where you can go for restaurants, for shopping, the weather even. We also provided 12,000 directions to places downtown. Calls to GRPD, AMR, fire department, we have 57 of them. We had more calls to the HOT team than we did to emergency services. I think the HOT team is a really wonderful resource for us because a lot of times we're engaging with people that may be experiencing mental health or substance abuse. So we do we do call the HOT team often to come and help us with stuff downtown. And this year we're actually working a little bit more in depth with, here's who I know, who do you know, how can we help them, what services can you provide? So we're getting to know them a lot more in depth than we have in the past. So. And is that it? I think I have one more thing. Nope. All right, that's it. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Any
comments?
questions? Such a great program. We appreciate
Thank you so much.
everything you do.
I love doing the work, so.
Yeah, I'll discontinue my graffiti.
Please and thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I just have one question,
Yes.
Chair. In addition to the hot team, do you also work directly with the nonprofits who have street outreach teams?
Sometimes, yes, I am a part of the outreach group, so I do attend those meetings at times. We attend the New Hope Sobering Committee as well. So, yeah, we tend to be kind of a middleman with information or, getting people where they need to go for appointments, whatever it could be.
Thanks.
You say
Thanks
fully
for your work.
staffed. Yeah, how many people are on your staff?
Right now, I have about 23 ambassadors. Not all of them are full-time. Some of them are part-time. And then we will ramp up in the beginning of April to hire more horticulture and pressure washers. At this moment, we are a little bit overstaffed, which is really wonderful. People taking time off and vacations and sick time help us. Having more people helps us in that process.
Okay.
Covering shifts, yeah.
Yes.
Just commend you really for all the work that you do. I particularly like that last slide where you talked about folks calling you guys as opposed to the police department, and I really think it speaks loudly to the city not criminalizing behavior that doesn't need to be criminalized, that sometimes really just needs a little bit of assistance. Not every city does that.
Yeah.
They're very quick to call the police, and these folks end up in prison or in jail where they don't need to. So really huge kudos to you, to the team, to the city for doing that. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I really do love calling the hot team as opposed to the police because they can provide services that the police just they're just not equipped to. They're not as well informed. They don't have those connections. But we try to, get people to the sobering center by walking them there as opposed to calling an ambulance. So we do what we can to kind of lower those calls. So.
Yeah. And I'll give a shout out. Al, good to have you join us. I'll give a huge shout out to the county. They've been working really hard with the city and hospitals, and hopefully we'll soon be cutting a ribbon at a crisis stabilization unit that I think will also be very helpful and divert folks who, instead of going to jail, they can go to a crisis stabilization unit. And then at the city, in addition to our hot team, we added and have expanded our mental health co-response team. So when an officer does need to respond, if it is a mental health crisis, they can go with the co-response.
That was wonderful to hear. We actually made a call and was like, hey, do you have the mental health cohort that you can send with us? So, yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
And also, I say thank you all for the services. And with Luis on, love that people will call you first. As a business owner downtown, that's what we do as well. Because I don't agree that people should be criminalized for certain things.
Yeah.
And it's always the first call. And what I do appreciate about that first call is that oftentimes the ambassadors who have a relationship with said individual and can talk with that individual and, as you mentioned, kind of ask a few questions, get them what they need quicker with a very kind human touch. So thank you to that.
Thank you.
Thank you that we have that here in our city.
That is my goal. We're building relationships with individuals, getting to know them. We check on them in the morning whenever it's really cold and at night. We've had our experiences that are not so great with people passing away due to cold exposure or, ODing. So it's really important for us to build those relationships and check on them on a regular basis. How are you doing? And then, of course, whenever we get phone calls, we can help guide them out of that situation without calling the police. So, yeah, building relationships is really important to our team. Anything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where can we find more information on that youth day?
It used to be called Grow, but I cannot remember what it is called now. Do you?
It's still Grow 1000.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And if you want to take some awesome students, young people, as part of that program, we'd love to talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
We love bringing
I had
them
two
on.
in the mayor's office last summer, and they were awesome.
We got 3 in our spot, so. And we've been working with
Thank you,
that program
Valerie.
since like 2014.
Yes.
You also get to learn the hip new words, phrases, how to be cool. That's really exciting to me because I'm a cool mom. So, yeah. Anything else?
I appreciate your shyness. by the way.
My shyness?
Shyness, yeah.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you so
very
much.
Yeah.
Is this going to anyone else?
Mr. Kelly, Executive Director report.
Sure thing, just a couple of quick things to highlight. Just did want to acknowledge Member Vanderberg for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Sorry I was late. I was actually doing a welcoming to a statewide purchasing group that's learning all about how to do business with Kent County today, so.
Awesome.
No problem at all.
Well, welcome, by the way.
Yeah, we're happy to
Officially.
have it. And then a couple of things to highlight, work-related. So we, sort of hard to believe, but we're already planning for our FY 2024 budget, given our fiscal year starts July 1. So a lot of work with our citizen alliance groups and amongst staff to get budgets ready and prepared. So you'll start to see that. We'll probably do a quick overview in March and then expect to see those come before you in April, before they go to the City Commission in May. On the project side, wanted to highlight that Pochi's Suite Designs, who you all approved a retail innovation grant for back in December, is officially open now down on Ionia in the old Menace joint space, so go check them out if you haven't already. Our World of Winter activities continue in full swing. We had tremendous events this weekend. The gnomes are out if you haven't seen them. The Affinity sculpture is up at 555. The Silent Disco was had a line around the block for people to get into, and we ran out of headphones. So that everything is going tremendous. So kudos to the team, first and foremost on that. And then we have a couple of events coming up before the end of the event in March. Particularly wanted to highlight the Black History walking tours, one that'll happen this weekend, and then again on the 27th. So hopefully you can come down and check that out if you have not already. And then two quick acknowledgements. One, we have a new staff member, Catherine Zietzi. She's not here today because she's been working a lot this week, hosting some of our River Equity Framework events, but she is the Grand River Greenway project manager, so you'll see her around if you have not already. And then also wanted to, last but certainly not least, acknowledge member Seeger, who did have a big announcement a couple weeks ago. We know she's not leaving, so we're not saying goodbye, but did just want to recognize you for all your great work.
I'm gonna, actually, I'm gonna terrorize you all a little bit. And that it won't be probably until the fall, because the search committee started the process, but thank you.
Yeah, we're not gonna let you leave that easy. That was it for director's report. Okay.
Any questions?
For Tim? No? Next is public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to step forward, now is your opportunity. Seeing none. How about board member comments? Welcome, Al.
Thank you.
Appreciate,
Glad to be here.
appreciate you. And Member Seeger, you'll be missed. Someone's going to have to take up the badge for parking. So we'll,
Big shoes to fill.
exactly. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
You know, I wonder if we could honor this baseball team, someone in the green space.